just stopped me getting back into it again.
Yeah.
And I've been struggling to get back ever since, really, and that's from probably in around about at the end of March.
Yeah, it's momentum. Momentum is
Yeah.
an amazing thing, but it's getting into that momentum, which is the battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
But once you can do that, it's just all about that, isn't it? Like Russell say, it's
Yeah, it's all in the head. Like,
yeah.
Are you sharing, Ash?
What's it got?
I don't know. I just seen him munching.
Popcorn.
Popcorn.
I've got like that health, you know, that the snack corn, whatever it is, like it's got like absolutely no flavor on it. It's just pure stuff, you know. So
what's like low-cal?
I don't even know. It's just like I'm on like a diet. I'm working out all the time. There's a tipping point, you know. As you guys were talking about, so I was sitting quietly. The tipping point for me, joking aside, was obviously it was that photo, but I made a joke. I heavily upped my training last week to every single day, and that's purely because there was a woman who takes the class, who takes the boot camp I do in the morning, like 6:30. And the girl, she's only a girl, she's about 21. And she said, she was like, so do you think you'll ever get addicted to exercise? And I was like, you know, that moment when you go, do you know, I was a fitness model. And I was like, I was like, well, I was like, well, like, you know, I used to kind of do it as a job.
What happened?
And literally I come back to my wife and I went, am I really that out of shape that she couldn't tell? And I'm not, like, it was obvious, but I was like, it was, bless her thing, but also I was like, fuck you then, I'm gonna go hard. So yeah. But there was also, talking about content, it was a similar thing, falling off the bandwagon with that. And there was a great, I don't like football and you guys know that, but I never understand why you're all freaking out over it, but okay, I'll let you have it for the week. It'll be over in a week or two. But it was a great film called Tomorrow's War. It's on Amazon. It's come out.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's like good and bad, but it's just a standard crappy film. But there's a bit right at the beginning. I don't know if you remember this, but there's right at the beginning, and it was just, I've been struggling with like making content and like making the content I want to make and the volume I need to make it in order to be successful. And there's a bit where Brazil are playing in the World Cup right at the beginning, and he sits with his daughter, and he goes, oh, they're the best players in the world. They're the best people in the world. And she's like, well, how do you do that? And he just says, you have to be willing to do what no one else is willing to do. Yeah. And I was like, you know, like when the film just goes, fuck. Like, yeah. So that's the truth.
It's the old, if you want what other people don't have, you've got to be prepared to do what other people won't do.
Don't want to do. Yeah.
It's what, and it's like all up your street, isn't it? But it was like up Ross's street. But that was exactly it. I just thought, yeah, stop bitching and moaning about it. Get up at 6 and go live. I write a blog every day, video every day, podcast every day.
It happens to all of us, you know, like if I go back through all my like training, like my peaks and troughs, it happens. It's a bit like everything in life. You end up having the really, really good times and the shittier times, but you need to have them to appreciate them. You know, if it was just always the good stuff and you were always on fire, that then just becomes the new norm. So your standards get lowered because you've almost like elevated your game, and then to be better again is even harder, you know. And that's what when you're doing, if it's fitness or you're applying yourself to something, if you're constantly doing the same thing and never changing up, your body will just find the easiest way to do it, you know, with the path of least resistance. But that's not where the changes come. So like, you'll know whether it's content, you know, there'll be consistency is key, but the way you do it might change up. And when you're exercising, you know, changing of exercise is as good as a rest. It's
increasing the load, isn't it? That's the thing I find. It like, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, like the content, the consistency of delivering it, the same with everything, but the improvement of the production of the, you know, it's a 10-minute video. Can I make it 5? Can we pack the content density? You're making things harder. It's like anything, isn't it? It's like, yeah, I can do the same amount of press ups, but can I do them with a weight vest? Can I do the same type of thing? But it's quite interesting, the whole concept. One thing I found, and for you guys, just because like because I can imagine it would be for you guys as students in this group, is that what I struggled with, and it's been like a 8-month probably compounding effect. And the problem is when you have like, so most of you probably don't listen to I have 2 podcasts, but I have a podcast that does really well, and I am lucky enough to to get people on the show that are like they are like one of the guys who just got on the show is Mr. Beast's coach for YouTube.
For YouTube.
Yeah, and so like these people are like world leaning. They know like Logan Paul. They're like massive. The problem is that too many great people have great ideas, and every time I speak to one, they give me a different way of doing the thing that I'm doing, and so that's what caused the problem. Was what I was doing was working. This might be with you guys. If something's working and you believe it works, even take stuff that me, Ross, and Dan are saying with a massive pinch of salt if you believe that what you are doing is working, because it really fucked what I was doing. So I'd be very open with that. Like, that's something that we don't talk about, like no one talks about, and it definitely has been
we don't talk about it enough in society. It's like it's kind of like a thing we don't want to admit when we've got something wrong, or we don't want to stand up for something, or
but it's like you'll lose weight if you eat like it's funny, you lose weight if you eat keto, you'll lose weight. If you go vegan, you'll lose weight. If you do like the Atkins diet, you'll lose weight. And what's making you lose weight is the consistency, sticking to the same thing.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same with this.
It's like with me, I've gone through so many like business coaches myself, and I've tried to listen to so many, but there's, like you say, they're just conflicting, and it's like you go on. I think it's the key is just to find one that you kind of feel the ethos of, and just kind of stick to that one, rather than taking too many conflicting pieces of information from different sources. Because like you say, it just creates entropy in your brain, and it's just you just don't get anywhere with it.
That's what it was what you do here. Like the joke of it is like that this is the right thing. Like whatever is said in these rooms, truthfully, like you guys are paid for it. This is not me thing, but it's just the way I've just kind of had this epiphany the last couple of weeks. Like it's paid for it, and I could everything that in Dan's course, I could do a course that could tell you that it's all wrong. I could also do a course that tell you it's all right. And you're going to have people. I think the best thing with it is just, like you say, you stick to one and do one thing. So if it's like that's the case, then you just stick to, because that's been the issue of YouTube's great, podcasting's great, Facebook's great, LinkedIn's great, and you're like, well, I'll do it all.
Yeah, and I talk about it, and I'll talk about it tonight. It's like it's about going all in. It's like if you know that at the end of the day you've gone all in on one thing and it's not worked, then get all over changing it. But if you're kind of like, well, I kind of half-assed that, I didn't really follow that bit, I did a bit of this, a bit of that, you're not then allowed to complain about the system. Whatever you're investing in, you're not allowed to complain. And I talk about it at the end. That's what I talk about. It's like you either do something about it, go all in, or you're not allowed to complain about it. It's just as simple as that, and we'll get into a bit of that.
Sorry, we're bypassing it.
No, it's cool, because it's all based around the same stuff, so it's nice.
Right. Well, should we take it to you then, Ross?
I'm gonna mute so I can eat my popcorn and sit back and listen.
I'll make you host, Ross.
Cool.
Got it?
Yep. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Right, my like 3 screens and a camera. So if I'm looking elsewhere, it's because my brain's having a little meltdown. Right. So that needs to stay there. And this needs to move. Right. Okay. Here we go. So this kind of came off the back of a call I had with some clients, and actually seeing a post that Sam had put on from the group. And she was talking about the halfway point in the year. And I've had this with a few clients actually. And it's really interesting because, sorry, 1 second, I'm trying to find. There we go. Can you see the main screen? Is it still white?
It's full screen now.
Full screen now.
So we're at the halfway mark now. for the year. So some of you have come on this course late last year, early this year. Whatever you've been doing, we were probably sat out at the beginning of the year and gone, right, we've got some stuff to address this year. You know, everyone's got great ambitions. You know, what we very rarely do is, and I'm a big advocate of with the people on this course and the clients that I've got, is checking in to see how stuff's going. And like we were just saying there, if it's not going well, why is it not going well? And I found the greatest question I've been asking my clients recently is to what end? And I'll talk about this more as we get into the conversation today. But it's looking at what we're doing now for the next 6 months. It's what we do now after this conversation tonight, because this is kind of like, it's a very poignant moment, is what we do now makes the difference. So if something's not been going your way, there's now a really good opportunity for you to take control and basically get shit done on your terms. Okay, but it's what comes next that makes the difference. It's your approach to this now that makes the difference. So yeah, my favorite question at the minute is, to what end? So when I talk to people about why they exercise, why they work late, why they get up early, you know, why do they upskill, why do they read, why do they learn, to what end? What's the point of it all? And I've been working with a client recently, and he's telling me all the stuff that he's doing and how he wants to earn more money so he can then have more time to then earn more money, to then have more time to then like make bigger investments to make more money. And I'm like, yeah, but to what end? What's the point of it all? You know, because that in itself just becomes something that's becomes all consuming and is not sustainable. And actually what happened was with this guy, and a lot of clients that I work with, is they've never stopped and gone, why am I doing this? You know, is it because society tells me I need to do it? Is it because my mum and dad said I need to do it? Is it because my girlfriend, my husband, my boyfriend, they told me I need to do it? They've never sat there and gone, why am I doing this for myself? And that's what I talk about in the modules. And I feel like a broken record when I come on here and when I talk to my clients. But it's like, as soon as you start to understand what success looks like for you, all these questions on here, you don't need to bother answering because it's yours. You know why you do it. Okay, you've attached it to something really, really important. Now, it might be a feeling, it might be an experience, it might be an understanding, it might be an all-consuming kind of like feeling that you have every time you do something, or it just might be that you like your job because it allows you to go and hang out with the pigeons at the weekend because you're I don't know, you like to race pigeons, whatever your thing is.
Pigeons?
Yeah.
What of a better example than the pigeons?
I'm a big fan of Geordie Racer. I'm taking it back. but what it is it almost doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's your thing. And then that becomes why you do these things. And actually what I find is, and I had this with myself, is people don't stop and ask themselves the question about why they do it. You know, why have I bought this course? You know, why have I tipped up tonight? So actually the question's now, and I actually want you to write this down. So I want the people now on the call to answer these questions. What's the point, right? Why are you here tonight? Okay. And I mean, really, why are you here tonight? Okay. What do you want to take away from this session? Because it's very easy just to tip up for the social. Yeah, I'll just rock up. I've paid the money. I'll just turn up, okay? Or am I coming to an evening or coming to a session or approaching something with an attitude that I want to improve or do something? So I want you to answer these questions. All right, number one, why are you here tonight? Yeah? And I want you to seriously think about it. Be as candid as you want. Why are you here? Because my husband's made me be here. Or the guy who usually comes on the course is off tonight and I've got to sit on the course. Whatever it might be. Be honest about why you're on this course tonight. And then the next question is quite an open one, because some of you may never have asked yourself this question. Why did you go to work? Okay. Forget the bullshit. Forget the my husband or my wife's in the room. Okay. Why do you go to work? And I want you to write this down. And we're going to write it down. We're going to spend maybe 2 minutes, just jot a few things down. And then we're going to go around the room and I'm going to get you guys to share back to the room the answer to these questions. So just go and do that now for me, please. 3, 2, 1. 1. Why are you here tonight? Okay. Forget the bullshit. Forget the my husband or my wife's in the room. Okay. Why do you go to work? And I want you to write this down. And we're going to go around the room and I'm going to get you guys to share back to the room the answer to these questions. So just go and do that now for me, please.
Done. That was an easy one. Can't, mate. Make him different. No, I'm joking.
Has everybody got something?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
I have.
So what we'll do is then, for starters, was everyone able to answer that question pretty quick, or did they have to suddenly think of the reason why they were here tonight? Honesty is the best policy.
Mine was straightforward, really.
Right, go on then, Mark.
Basically, two things: really. Social interaction and gain insight into your guys' specialisms to help me understand and produce content.
Okay. Brilliant. We'll come back to them all. Jenny, what about you?
Sorry, Ross, to do this to you, but it's just routine, isn't it? It's Tuesday night, it's 7 o'clock. And I might learn a thing or two. You never know.
No, absolutely. I appreciate the honesty, because I think a lot of people are in that scope as well, but they'll just play it safe a little bit. No, that's cool. Ian, what about yourself?
Well, I've just joined, so this is my second session. So I've worked with Dan for the last sort of 3-4 months with doing my social media, so that's why I've kind of came along to this. But the whole thing, mindset, everything that goes along with it, I'm focused, so involved in my business, it's unbelievable. And I need to try and get a wee bit of balance with it, focus on the right sort of things, and yeah, sort of work on me as an individual as well, because sometimes it's very easy to take away the sight of what is actually the important thing.
Brilliant. That's really good. I appreciate that. Simon, what about yourself?
I came because I wanted to listen to you a bit more, Ross. I did the first week, skipped the second week, and then did your week.
Oh, charming.
Which is a bit naughty. A bit naughty, I know, but I'm really interested in what you talk about generally. I trained once as a psychotherapist, so I've done quite a lot of work on.
Don't say anything, anybody.
No, I don't practice anymore, so don't worry. But yeah, so it's really interesting for me, and a lot of what you say I learned a long time ago and have forgotten about.
Cool.
And I need to get it back into my head, really, because you do benefit massively from knowing about yourself and what makes you tick, etc., etc. Because as Ian said, otherwise you just get lost.
Yeah, and it is
in the bullshit of everyday life, I suppose. But
absolutely.
you know, and you have to. I'm already getting up, and I've only been a member for 2 weeks, and I'm getting up an hour earlier. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Yeah. No, earlier than that.
8:15.
Yeah.
So, and the reason, and thank you guys for all sharing it, and I really do appreciate the honesty. So what we did was, and that was a very kind of like simple question. So routine, social, I want to hear what you've got to say because it's kind of like prickled some things in the back of my head, and I'm new to the course. Okay, and that's very kind of superficial answers, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just kind of how our brain is like, it works. It's like, okay, this is what I normally do on a Tuesday. I tip up. Okay, now what actually from these things is, what I want to hear you think about then is I could go back to all of you that answered here and go, okay, so ultimately you paid some money for a course, okay? Mm-hmm. So actually that's why you're here. Initially, that's why you were here. So two of the new guys, Simon and Ian, you know, you're newish. So you're like, I've just paid X amount of money for this. I want to be getting my value. There's wins and value to be had from this group, okay?
Yep.
There's a reason you've done it. The other guys on here, you've stuck around because either you like the stuff, or again, it might just be a bit of a routine and stuff that you do on Tuesday. But ultimately, you've sat somewhere at home or in the office and gone, I need to make a change. I need to change something that's going on in my life, whether it's my business, whether it's my personal life, probably both. I don't know what it is, but something needs to change. Now, what I'm doing is I'm then going out to the professionals, Dan, okay, and I am engaging with Dan to try and help me achieve something. Now, what might have happened is you just don't know what it is yet you want to achieve. Now, honestly then, for those who are here and those who skipped my part of the course, which is brilliant, by the way, I love that, who has actually gone and written down a definition of what success looks like for themselves?
I did, yeah.
I have, yeah.
Yeah? And when's that? So that's brilliant, and I love that. When's the last time you looked at it?
Oh, when I wrote it down.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably about February.
Okay. So, and again, so what we do is, and it's human nature, we see something, we want something, we go get it, we write down what, we don't necessarily write down, but we engage with what we're going to do, and then the world takes over because we get distracted by all the shiny shit. Okay? Whether it's the Euros, whether it's I don't know, whatever's going on, COVID, there's always something else to distract us. We could all stop this call, step out into the street, and it wouldn't take too long before something takes your attention, whether it's a phone call, an next door neighbor going, what are you doing, sitting in the road? But society and the world will come in and take our time away from us. So for you right now, right at the beginning, you came to this course with a reason why you wanted to improve and work on something. Now what happens is that gets lost along the way because we tip up, it's routine. I like the people that I speak to, but sometimes actually we don't then take away anything from the session that allows us to make improvements. And by the way, when I say this, I include myself in this. So I literally wrote in my journal here this morning. It had been a week since I last wrote in my journal. Like it was 7 days. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I talk about this stuff. And then I wrote that I'd not written in 7 days. And then I was like, do you know what though? The way I'm feeling about work and everything that's going on, I can totally now understand why I've not written in my book. And then as a result of not journaling, how I've got distracted and pulled away on the stuff that's important to me. Because I've not connected with what the reason was that I've been doing my work or what my goals are or anything that's going on in my life. I've not been touching base and connecting with it. So when we commit to something, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, whatever it might be, we need to have a real strong reason behind what we do. So my next question then was, why do we go to work? So we'll go back around the room. Why do we go to work? And I want you now to not think superficial. I want you to think, actually, why do I go to work? Mm-hmm. So who wants to go first? Or I'll just...
All right, I'd be bored otherwise.
Okay. Bored?
When you're asking this question, are you talking about like on like what type of level are you talking?
Whatever level resonates with you right now.
It's got to be a deep one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I said don't be superficial, but you can
go to work. When you're saying work as well, are you saying you're like what you do right now, or are you saying just working in general? Like you being a teacher or you being what you are now?
Oh, right, yeah. So what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the transition of changing. So some of you have like a side, this is like a side thing. Like, or the people that are listening, you might be transitioning from a main job into this thing. There's got to be a reason why we do stuff, okay?
For me,
Mark will just give you a heads up. Bored,
yeah,
not the best answer I've had, right?
Money.
If you're looking at that aspect, basically, like, this gives me the freedom to be able to spend time with my kids and earn money at the same time.
Right, okay, that's the bit that I give a shit about. That's the bit right there that I want to think. But actually, and I'm not picking on you, Mark. It's just
no, that's fair enough.
I actually you've just got to then make sure in the work that you're doing that you don't do it because you are bored, even though you do say alongside, well, it's because I can have the freedom to spend time with the stuff. Because that's actually the bit that I'm interested in. The other bit might be the bit that's more prevalent in your life right now. And that can be addressed through other areas of your life. You know, the boredom aspect. Yeah. And look, COVID and everything, it hits hard, and people at different stages in their lives, we all go through different changes, okay? So actually that part of your life could be addressed somewhere else, which then allows you to apply the energy that you've got to want to spend more time with your kids or to have the experiences you want, okay? And I really appreciate you sharing that. And that's not to highlight you, that's just a really good example, okay? And I've been there in the same position. That's why I've changed jobs in the past. So it's cool, and I appreciate that. What about somebody else then? Why do we go to work? Ian?
I genuinely love what I do.
Cool.
I help people buy homes. And as cheesy as it sounds, I've done it for 16 years, and that just consumes my life really with it. So that's it. It makes money and stuff on the side, which is fine, but I'm not sitting, I don't chase money, if that makes sense. Money comes.
So, and again, I don't know anything about you. What's the situation? Married, kids, not married, single? What's going on?
Married with 2 kids. So married for 11 years, two kids, a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old with Down syndrome. So my priorities with families has changed a wee bit with that, and I want to spend more time. So business wise for me, I've been working more in recruiting other advisors and so on, and so I can start to take it almost a step back from having to work 14, 15 hours a day and passing that over to someone else.
Right, that's the bit I'm interested in.
Yeah.
That bit. The other stuff is a bonus that you love your job. It's a bonus that you love your job. You can have a job that you absolutely detest, but the pros of having that job outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
Okay, so like when I was a teacher many moons ago, when I first started teaching, no kids, wasn't married. I was with my wife now, but we just boyfriend and girlfriend. I traveled around the world racing triathlon. All I did was train and teach. And I only taught because it paid okay and had loads of holidays. It was great. But then when that started not to be enough, teaching wasn't a thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, served the purpose perfectly. The bit that's not going to change for you in this example is your kids and your wife.
Yeah.
So that's the bit that I'm interested in. The other stuff about you loving your job, bonus, absolutely bonus. But there will be days you're like, I fucking hate my job.
Yeah.
Do you
know
what I mean? We all have those days. But that's cool. And I'm not saying this is yours, but I think it probably is. The family and the stuff with your kids, that's a big one. That's the bit I'm interested in when I hear people tell me why they do their stuff. The other stuff is kind of cool, but the nitty gritty of it is that's why you do stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. I really appreciate that. Right. Jenny, what about yourself?
So I'll tell you a little story. When I was younger, I was a bit silly and put things in my body that I should never have put in my body. And because of that, I went blind for about 6 months. So it made me really, really vulnerable. You couldn't drive, you lose all of your independence. So for me, work gives me the security and the independence that I once lost. And I just can't do that again. I can't lose that ever again.
That's the bit I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bit I'm interested in. That's the bit that when it's the shittest day ever, you can stop and go time out. It's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to there. I'm going in this direction. That's the bit. That's the stuff. And the next slide kind of gets into this. I'll talk about some home truths. And this goes for all of us. Simon, what about yourself?
Well, the first thing I wrote down was just earn money, because that's sort of really on a superficial level. And, you know, I need to put food on the table. There's only me and the missus, really. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying it's to earn money. Money is the enabler.
Yeah.
To then do something.
Exactly.
So you
Exactly.
honestly, and this is something we struggle in sort of Western society, is we don't, especially in the UK, we hate talking about money. But actually, it's the facilitator. It allows us to do the other thing. Sure. If it's controlling us, then it's a negative thing. But if it allows us to do the stuff we want, get all over it. Okay? So you don't have to, it's not superficial, but carry on. Sorry, carry on.
And I'm a bit like, sorry, what's your name in Northern Ireland guy? Mark, sorry, Mark, I've forgotten your name.
All right.
I retired once when I was 50 for 5 years, went to live in Spain, and it almost killed me because it was just very, very, very boring. And not having any sort of purpose every day is quite difficult for me. I just started drinking loads and shit like that.
It's a society thing that we say, right, I'm going to work really, really hard to then retire to do the stuff that's really enjoyable.
I'm never retiring again.
My parents are the exact same.
It's my worst nightmare, retiring.
Don't do it.
My mum and dad are busier than they've ever been, and they're retired. Like, my mum retired. She was a nurse for like 40 years. She retired. We had a retirement party, and then she was working the next day. I was like, this doesn't count. You can't keep saying you're retiring and just have a party. And then my dad, he retired to then volunteer on every basis that he could. Literally, whether it was dogs for the servicemen, if it was disabled kids who needed help swimming, if it was helping at the local school, he was doing it all. He was doing all the stuff that he wanted to do when he was working, but couldn't because he had to provide and he had other things going on. So there's a thing in our society, we go, what I'll do is I'll work really, really hard to get to a certain age, and then I'll retire to do the stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite work like that.
No. Like Simon says, you need
I can prove that as well.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, go on. Dan, what were you going to say?
Yeah, just saying like what you said, you need a purpose in life. You need a goal to aim towards. You need something to get up for. When you've not got that, it just plays with your mind, and you just don't feel like you're worthy of being alive because you've got
in the end in Spain, I took up road cycling and did it every day for 3 years. First thing in the mornings, it's what got me out of bed, because otherwise I'd have just been lying in bed. I'd got up about 9 o'clock, had a bit of breakfast, gone and lay by the pool, had a quick swim, gone out to lunch, end up every day after day after day after day in the sunshine.
Yeah,
and even you know, in the end, I was praying for rain. Even you know,
is that why you're sat in the dark now?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy. I'm gonna have to buy a Zoom light, aren't I?
Ring light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's why people are so depressed these days, because they don't know that. They sit at home on the settee all day, eating shit food, and they've got nothing, but they don't realise that that's why they're feeling depressed, because they're just doing nothing.
And look, it's very easy for us to sit here and go, oh, they should be doing this, should be that. I had a realization when I was like probably about 6 years ago, and I was like, shit, this is not working for me. This doesn't work. I'm not happy. Something needs to change. But you're a product of your society, your parents, what's around you. So if you don't know any better, you don't know any better.
Yeah.
But what I think has happened, the fact that you guys here are on this call, you almost then owe it to yourself to then be more sort of precise with your actions towards getting shit done, because you've invested time, money, and energy into this stuff. You know, the people who don't realize it and take no action, you can almost understand why they carry on doing what they do, because they don't have that bit like them, and that's fine. Everyone has their own thing. You know, I know a guy who does a similar job to me. He charges half the amount I charge, and he just loves it. He just does it. He's just so happy. Doesn't want to. He's got his own little thing going on. He's nice. He's not too busy. He's just busy enough. He gets to do stuff with his wife and kids. Happiest guy I know. He's not interested in earning. He doesn't drive. He's not interested in earning lots and lots of money. He's just happy with what he's got on. And I almost admire people like that. You know, they've got that shit squared away. I'm like, get all over that stuff. He knows why he goes to work. His wife knows why they go to work. They know what they've got going on. Okay. And I think what happens is people, and I remember for myself, I'd never stopped until I was 32 and asked myself the question of, oh, what does it look like? I just kind of, I went to school, I went to sixth form, I went to uni, I became a teacher, and I went back to school. And then I did that for 10, 15 years. And that was it. Because society, my parents told me that's what I should do. I only stopped and questioned it. And all of a sudden I was like, I get to control the stuff that I want to do. How does that work? And all of a sudden you have to just work out why you do stuff, why you want to do stuff. So all of you there have highlighted something in some small shape or form of why you do stuff. Okay. Now the next page is not to make anybody feel bad. This is just how life is. Okay. That would have worked a lot better if it had clicked across when I said it was going to click across. Right, here we go. So a few home truths. You need to understand that everything you do is your responsibility. Everything. How you respond, how you react, even when you have your worst day, how you respond or react is your responsibility, nobody else's. Everything that happens in life, you are responsible of how you then choose to respond to something. And I mean that on a very, very big scale, from the nicest thing in the world to the worst thing in the world. And everybody will deal with it differently. But you need to understand it's your responsibility. So you have to own all the bad things that have happened in your life. On the plus side, you get to own all the good shit that's happened as well. Okay? You have to own them both though, in equal measures. And they will impact your life in different ways, but you have to understand they're yours. There is no room for blame. And you'll have noticed probably throughout COVID and lockdown that there was lots of blame around. Why are you unfit? Well, COVID. Why is your business not working? COVID. Why is your relationship broke down? COVID. Why do your kids hate you? COVID. Why does my neighbor hate me? COVID. Like everyone just blame COVID. It's easy. It's easy. But what I think personally is I think what's happened with COVID has just exacerbated the type of person you already were. So if you're a good person that has good intentions and what you do is of value, I actually think this has shown you to be really good because it's shown your true colors. The flip side is if you're a dick, this has made you out to be a massive dick. And I hope that as it starts to lift and people go back, that as a society, we remember the dicks and we don't engage with them, because I think that's where we could potentially fall down. So everything that's going on is our responsibility, okay? The next one, everyone you love is going to die, including yourself. You should love yourself, that's okay. But everybody that we engage with is going to die. And that's not to make you feel bad. That is to make you understand that every bit of time you have on this planet is super valuable. And I could not be more like on top of that. Everything ends. Youth, love, life. That's what makes everything we do valuable. Now, that can be a bit depressing thinking, shit. You know, Gary Vee came out with some 3 words of advice. You're gonna die. Those were his 3 words of advice. Like there's a YouTube video of Gary Vaynerchuk's 3 words of advice. A lady asks him through his window and he sees his brain sort of pause and he goes, I know, you're gonna die. And that was it. Because this, what we have right now, is what's important to us. So it's all well and good thinking about what's happening 10 years down the road and not enjoying what's happening right now, okay? I'm not saying it's an easy task either. You've got to manage it. But everything we do is going to come to an end. The people we love are going to die. So actually, we need to be making the most of what we do every day. And that might just be small things. Sitting in the garden, watching the sun come up. Or, if you're like me, getting in a river and watching ducks flow by, whatever it is. The little things, the coffees with your partner, the extra couple of minutes to listen to your kids, the extra email you send because it allows you to get paid for an extra job so you can go on holiday at the weekend. these little things, these little tasks and jobs are all brought together because life's valuable. And if we understand why we do stuff, which we've all touched on in some shape or form, we've got a good excuse to get up in the morning and get shit done. And like I said earlier, do something about it or don't complain. You're allowed to like be the guy that goes, do you know what? I'm up to date on Netflix. I've completed Netflix. It's brilliant. That's cool. You're just then not allowed to complain that your business is not doing very well. I love the taste of cheesecake. Cheesecake and chocolate cake they're amazing. Cool. You're not allowed to complain about being overweight or unhealthy. Okay? Now, there's a compromise in all. These are very extreme cases, but there's a compromise in all of these. I love chocolate cake, but as a treat. I eat chocolate cake every day. I don't want chocolate cake. Simon sits in the sun having a drink on holiday every day. Becomes boring. You don't want to do it anymore. It becomes a horrible thing. Okay? So there are reasons and things that we can find in our life that are super important to us. And they're the reasons why we do it. And this is why I do feel like I'm a broken record, because I always ask people to go back to that. What does success look like for you? Because like you say, you've all written it down, but you've possibly not gone back to look at it. And what it does is when you define what success looks like, it just makes it easier. Doesn't make it easy. It just makes it easier to go, today I can do something. Because actually, I've either got it stamped on my brain, or this crazy guy called Ross made me write it down. And then he made me check in with it every day. And then he made me share with him and the group what our intentions were. And God, got to the end of the year, I'd achieved a load of shit, and now I know what I want to do in life. It's madness. Okay? Blame me, that's fine. But what I don't want to see is people like yourself who've invested time, money, energy, and resources into something, just let that opportunity like drift away. Okay? So thinking about what we've said there, again, come back to the question. So to that end, what does it all look like? What does success look like for you? And I want you to think about the end of the year. So there's 3 things there, and I want you just to kind of like maybe put a point or 2 points to each of those little questions. What does it look like? What does success for you look like? And I want you to think about the end of the year. And you may just put that into like maybe one big sentence. But thinking about what I've just said and those home truths and all of the things that you guys touched on, I wonder if your reason for going to work or your reason for coming on tonight's show makes me sound like a bloody celebrity. But I wonder if your reasons then have changed. Okay? So spend a couple of minutes doing that. If you struggle, we'll tear it apart and help you rebuild a new one. That's what we'll do. I'm gonna have to go for a run or something after this. My energy is like through the roof. I love this shit.
You're weird.
I know. It's fine. It's cool. I know that.
Yeah. This is I love my job. I love my job. I love my job.
I don't have them all the time.
It seems like my Instagram has them all the time. Like, bloody hell, calm down, mate.
Get back in your box. Okay, I can't take the silence anymore. Is everybody written something down?
Yeah.
Or are people just kind of like, I don't know what to put down?
Well, what success looks like? What's the end? Is
Well, yeah. I've written something you want.
Yeah. We'll give it another 30 seconds, a minute. And look, whatever you come up with now might not be the definitive answer. It might just be you've not asked yourself this question in 6 months. And actually, when you answered it 6 months ago, you'd not asked yourself that in 36 years. It wasn't 36 years for me, it was 32 years, but you get the drift.
I remember the best ever lead magnet for me. I did like a live stream right at the beginning, and I said, and I didn't mean to say, I said, the reason I do this, you know, why I do the job. I said, the reason I do this job, is I had a moment where I walked out of my house and we have a mirror on the wall, and I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize the guy looking back. And as I just said, it wasn't like some sort of like deep, meaningful thing. And my inbox was flooded by people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s going, I feel like that right now. Like, what? Yeah. Like, and they didn't even know I did. It was just like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah.
and this is the thing. This is what happens, because suddenly, well, it kind of two things happens. One, you don't have that moment, and one of those home truth kicks in, and you die.
Yeah,
you just get old and die. You didn't have that. Or the other thing is, you get to it and go, shit, is this what life? Is this all life is?
Mm.
You know, there's a guy around the corner for me, and just through a bit of a conversation with him, I've worked out he's a barrister.
Yeah. And
every time I see him, I'm usually running or with my kids. And every time I ask him, he's out smoking a cigarette as if it's his last cigarette. Like he's like this, walking around. And he's very polite. How you doing? Yeah. His response is, every time I ask him, how you doing? I'm surviving. I'm living. And then Monday, it must have been Monday morning, and I run past his house to the river, which I get in. And I came back and he was there, like, talking away. And I said to my wife, I said, next time he says to me something like, I'm surviving, I'm going to say something back to him. And he said to me the weekend, he goes, well, you know, the weekend came and then it went. And I was just like, what? So I just stopped running. I just turned on the dime. I was like, look, every time I speak to you, you just tell me surviving. I want to come back one day and go, how's your day? And you go, brilliant. Brilliant. I had a great day. He's got 3 kids, like a wife, a family, but every day is like, well, it came and I went. And he then
if I had 3 kids, I think I'd be the same, to be fair.
Well, to be fair, maybe not though. And he said, and he said, I keep seeing you. Where are you going? So I said, I'm going to the river. And he kind of went, oh, that's nice. And then I was like, he's like, what do you do at the river? And I was like, I get in. And he was like, you get in? I was like, I get in. And I bypassed all the reasons for getting in, apart from I get to have 10 minutes where it's just, I'm present in the moment. I'm not worrying about stuff. I'm not thinking about anything else. And it was as if time stood still and he was like that. I was like, the cloud appeared above his head and it pictured him in the river just like for 10 minutes, like not doing anything. And he was like, oh, I bet that feels nice. And it wasn't the fact that it was the river, but he'd not stopped and gone, oh, I wonder what I could do for just 10 minutes, just not worrying about something.
People,
and I was like, oh my gosh.
Mate, people do it all the time. The moment me and Dan didn't answer the questions, but what made me, why do I come to work? There's lots of different reasons, but one of the things for me, you know, I'm a performer originally, singer, actor, dancer, West End. So I'd committed my life to like following a dream, not money. But when it didn't really work and I had a breakdown, I cemented myself into like well, if I can't do that, then I'm going to do, you know, what my dad does.
Yeah.
Because my dad, for anyone know, he was the board of directors on Connell's and like all over, he's all finance. And I was mortgage advisor. So I became a mortgage advisor because, well, that's what dad did. And dad was successful and I was successful. So, you know, the tipping point for that, 7 years did that. And he retired young, funnily enough, doing exactly what Simon said. And he retired young. And within a 6-month period of him retiring, he's an entirely different man. He grew his hair out. He stopped wearing clothes, certain different types of clothes. He threw all his suits away. And all of a sudden, I was like, excuse the language, fuck, you've lived 60, he was 55, 55 years you've been alive, and you've waited till you're 55 to be who you actually want to be. And it didn't, and this is like, I'm sitting there thinking like, it sounds really great, an epiphany now when we're talking about it here, but that rocked my core to like, for like another 4 years, it rocked everything. I was like, what the hell am I doing? What is going on? Because it was that, and then all I could see was people, like you said, every person in my company that I worked in, I'd be like, so what? I'm going to be you. And then if I work hard enough, I'm going to be the guy above you. And eventually, if I'm my dad, lucky enough to retire at 55, then I can, it's like,
and then you can do what you want to do.
Then I was like, this can't be it. This can't be it. And it's mad. And that was like, I don't talk about it because of that, because it's very like, it was a proper like, like literally like fucking hell, no way.
And everybody will have those moments, those holy shit moments, but they'll come in variant sort of levels. They'll be massive, or they'll just be small ones that chip away. You suddenly go, I've had enough, I'm not doing it anymore. It might not be one big catastrophe, big massive thing, small little bits. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm done. Or it might just be like a, holy shit, I don't want to do that. But the good thing is about all of this stuff, this is not supposed to be a downer. The good thing about all this stuff is that we're in control of it. We're in control of all of this. Now, everything that's happened to us in the past was a result of us being in control. We just weren't pointing in the right direction. So you guys get to get a grip of this shit and get it back quickly. So what I want then from everybody here is thinking about what success looks like, or why they go to work, or the next 6 months, okay? What does it look like? And what do you want to get done? But more importantly, tell me why you want to get it done. I almost don't care about how you get it done. I want to know the why. So whatever we had written down for those last questions, what does it look like? What does success look like for you? You know, think about the end of the year. What have we got written down? We'll go Simon.
I've just started my business. So I sold a previous business 2 months ago, and I've just started. I qualified as did the CMAP a couple of years ago to transition into this. My previous business was a home ventilation thing. So I was scrabbling around in lofts a lot, and I'm too old to do that now. So I've just started. So on my short-term aim is just to get this up and running. And generating my own leads, which is why I'm on here. I've tried buying them, and it just depresses me. It's just awful. And I'm trying to lose a bit of weight as well.
Okay.
I need to lose about 20 pounds as well.
And what's the reason behind that? Why do you want to do that?
Because I'm a fat bastard.
Okay, so losing the weight will do what? You'll be 20 pounds lighter, but what will you be able to do?
I'll feel fit. I'll feel healthier.
Okay.
I just feel a bit. I went through a period of losing strength and fit and general fitness. I was pretty fit when I left Spain from all that cycling. That's just gone down a little bit. Okay. So I'm just trying to get it back. I've started intermittent fasting and
good
a bit of keto and that sort of stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna. Don't worry, the rest of you in the group. I'm gonna push you all as well. When I get to you. So you're gonna lose the weight, but why?
I don't know. Because I just feel I'm overweight. I don't like being overweight.
Okay, don't like being overweight. Okay, that's a reason. That's a good reason why you do it.
I've never been skinny, but
yeah,
I'm quite aware that I'm never going to get below about 12.5 stone or something. But that's okay.
So, and what comes?
And it's a strength thing as well. My core is just gone.
Okay, so great. So all of a sudden we've got two things. So it's like I don't like it when I'm not healthy, but you want to have a good core, good strength. What does that stuff then in your life allow you to then do?
It gives me more energy to do other stuff.
Energy to do what?
Live.
Okay. What does that look like?
Fucking hell. Shut up. I don't know.
But that bit's okay.
I'll tell you next Tuesday. I'll tell you next Tuesday.
And this is the thing. And again, look, thank you very much for playing along with that. It was really good. And it's the idea is a lot of the things we'll just do them, and we don't necessarily know why we do them. But actually, when we stop and work out why we do them, it becomes we're more likely to stick to it. Okay. And the fitness one and health one, there'll be lots of stuff around that. I want to live to be older. I I want to have nice experiences. I don't want to be blown at my backside when I walk up the stairs. You know, I want to feel good when I go on holiday. You know, I don't know, there's type 2 diabetes in my family. I don't want to get that. There'll be lots of little things, but we just don't ask ourselves these questions. And this goes for everybody in the group. And yours was just the example that I used there, Simon. So thank you for that. But I want you to start to think about these things. So thinking then on that note, and you can share in the group and we'll ask at the end, but I want you to think then around those 2 or 3 things you mentioned. So one was work and one was your fitness. Think about the action that needs to be taken. And you may have written that down, but that'll be kind of the last thing when we leave, because I know we're getting to the end of the call. But I want to just go around the rest of the group as well. So thank you for that, Simon. Jenny, what about yourself?
Well, I thought I had all this shit nailed, Ross, but you've just gone and thrown it out the window. So thanks for that. I was going to sit and go, oh yeah, I want X amount of leads and my net profit to be this. But actually, what I think I want is to stop fearing that I'm going to lose it all.
Okay. Now, what you can do straight away, though, is you can link those 2 things together.
Yeah.
Because actually, getting an income and the leads and the stuff coming in, that's the path to getting what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing you have to do to get the thing you want.
Yeah.
That then becomes the not the reason you do it, that just becomes the task. The reason you do it, what you just said is, so say that last bit again about not wanting, the fear of losing it all.
Yeah, so I lost everything. My house, in 3 months, I lost my partner, my house, my job. And it was a bit of a bad place. So it's just, I don't want to go back to that place ever.
So, and this is where experiences can kind of, they shape what we're about. Mm-hmm. So, and again, not a psychologist, but my own experiences working with clients, it's always better to look at where you want to be rather than where you've been.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if where you've been doesn't serve you, apart from to scare the shit out of you, then you use it to a certain degree and then you shelf it. Mm-hmm. So actually, it's not necessarily about hanging on to where you don't want to go back to. It's about where do you actually want to go? And it may be linked to everything you just said there. I want to own my house. I want to be in a loving relationship. And all those things you just talked about, as in that horrible place back there, you can then turn them into actually, I want them. Not that I don't want to go back to that. I want to have this. I want to have that. And it may just be 3 or 4 things.
Yeah, and I'm at that place now, and I think that's what it is. You know, I'm in a really happy place, but then you're always looking over your shoulder thinking, shit, what if?
And when we do stuff, we either do stuff out of fear or because we're seeking the joy. Okay, that's kind of how everything's either out of fear or we're seeking joy and pleasure. So what you want to do is, as long as that fear is serving you to pursue the pleasure, get all over it. If it's not serving you, try not to give it the power, which is very easy for me to sit here and say, go away and solve it as the last comment of the day. And it's not at all. But a lot of the stuff that I find with people on the call here, clients that I work with, everybody's almost got it, their shit together. It just needs tightening up. It just needs tightening up and stuff needs to get discarded, you know, and that's kind of where a lot of people are. And again, being that you're already taken steps to be involved in a course like this, you're already a step ahead. And look, Jenny, I've seen the stuff that you've done in the last couple of months since being on it. It's incredible. Okay. So actually, maybe you just need to pause and go, I've done all right here.
Yeah,
stuff that you've written down for success probably is still relevant. Okay. We can have a chat after and we can I can help you go through some stuff on there, but you're probably doing okay. All right.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
I'm not there to blow your idea of what it looks like out of your mind, because it's probably actually not too far from that. It's just how we frame it. Okay. So again, think about some action. So that's good. Right. No pressure, Ian, but we're going to come to you now.
He's right. It's the thing. It's hard to you're trying to answer this right, but yeah.
So there is no right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. There's just yours.
I've got my business goals and I've got my personal goals, which are separate, but probably should be more aligned than what.
So quick pause. there is no, and again, it's very easy for me to say this, there is no business and life. It's just, business and personal. It's just life.
Yeah.
It's just life.
Oh, I know a business coach will tear you to pieces for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
They hate it. I completely agree with you, but
yeah,
I'm so glad you said that, because
look, I work in, like, part of what I do in my business is we work with businesses. My business partner is he grows businesses, but the fundamentals are that you grow the business. Back to that question, to what end? To serve you as a person and your life and what you want. Now, you might turn around and go, I want to earn £1 million a year, and it may all be business orientated. Cool, get all over it. And I genuinely mean that. I'd never say otherwise. Actually, it's not normally about that. And that's not to discredit any business goals. Your business goals allow you to achieve certain stuff, which then allow you to do the things you actually really want to do.
Yeah.
And it's about not forgetting that. Sorry, so carry on, tell me.
No, that's okay. So my business goals would lead into the personal ones. So I started off in September with me as a sort of one-man band. I'm now up to 4 advisors and 3 admin staff. And the idea is that come December time, all being well, there's going to be another 2 advisors, more admin staff, so I can actually take a step back and spend more time with my family.
And that goes right back to what we talked about at the beginning. You just gave me a little crumb, and that was the bit I was interested in. That was your son, and that was your family.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That can be the reason you want to kick ass in business.
Yeah.
Because you do that stuff. Now, when we link to all of these things, it makes it easier to get up and do shit when we don't want to. Okay? Doesn't make it easy, just makes it easier. Okay? So think about some action on that, and I really appreciate you sharing that. Mark, what about yourself?
Have quality time with the kids. Basically have enough money in the bank to get what I need when I want it. Have no debt, and become a better pool player. They're the main things that I want to do.
And again, and I know what they are, but to share with the group, why is being a better pool player good?
It's an interest I've had my whole life, basically, and I enjoy playing the game. And I just like to be able to play a bit more competitively. And so making time to do that.
Who do you play pool with?
My son at the minute, and I practice on my own.
Right. So again, that becomes a reason why you want to be better at pool. You know, and the other stuff around having the experience with your family, spending more time, they become the shit that needs to be front and center when we're doing stuff. And that's really important. And I'll tell you a very, very quick story. I was working with a company in Scotland, and this was the Christmas before COVID. He was the director of this company, and his thing that he was working towards was a big holiday that was going to go on in the summer of 2020 to Disneyland. We did a big tour of America. And that was the reason that he was working all the weekends. That was the reason he wasn't seeing his wife and his kids. This was his reason. He said, it's okay, I'll make up for it in the summer. Well, we all know what happened to the summer of 2020. It didn't happen. He didn't go anywhere. Luckily for him, we'd managed to convince him to put some little pit stops along the way towards the bigger thing. So weekends away, family trip, day trips, little things. Because actually what he wanted was the experience with his family. Now, if you have it too far away, you may never get to it. You need to have the little rewards along the way to getting there. Luckily, we got him to do that, because then his holiday got shit canned. He'd already been away for a couple of small little weekends and stuff. Because actually what he wanted was the experience and the time with his family. So it was actually about that, not that one big holiday at the end of it all. So it's really important that we think about that. Right, okay, I'm going to move on, because I know we're probably about 5 more minutes, if that's okay with everybody, and then we'll be done. I've kept it short this week. So you need to connect daily with the definition, okay? With that understanding of why you do stuff. So what that success looks like, whether it's your kids, your business, whatever it is, you need to connect with it daily. Because if we don't, society will make sure you connect with something else. The shitty news on TV, the next door neighbor, bad food, whatever it might be. So you need to take control and connect with it as much as possible. I'm forever talking about take a knee moments and nav checks. And if you've not got to those points on the modules, go and check it out. But when you're connecting with it, how you connect with it will be individual. You may write it down in a journal. I write mine down in a journal. Okay. So I write down my goals here, how I've been feeling, but I connect with the big goal daily. Okay. Where I do it is in my journal. But for some of you, you might just have a chat with your kids. You know, might talk about a school they're going to go to, or a holiday you're going to have, or this weekend we're doing that, or you speak to your wife and partner and go, how's that car looking that we're thinking about buying? Oh, I've just started looking at a new house actually. Yeah, I reckon in about 6 months we might be able to apply for a mortgage. Okay, I've connected with it. How I've done it, I've either written it in my journal, I've had a conversation with somebody, whereas obviously it's in my journal. You might say, you might have a regular moment where you touch base with a partner, a business partner, your kids weekly, where you just check in and go, right, how are we doing? Well, this is what I'm doing. I'm working on this. You guys are my motivation for getting up in the morning. Really, Dad? That's so cool. Brilliant. You touch base with it regularly. When you do it, as often as possible. I talked about drop the ball moments. If you've not watched it, go back. Drop the ball moments. You're going to miss a day. You're going to miss a week. As soon as you recognize that you dropped the ball, pick it back up and go again. It's not a case of if you drop the ball. It's a case of when you drop the ball. Your job is to make sure you just reduce the time between dropping the balls. Okay. As in, sorry, when you drop it and pick it back up. And then the biggest one is your why. Why do you do it? Keep it nice and simple. Write it down. Have it tattooed on your foot. Have it somewhere where you can connect with it daily and go, it's because of this. But then also help yourself out. It's not about the big holiday in 18 months' time. It's about the experience I want from that holiday. I'm going to get some of that back this weekend with my wife and kids, or whatever it looks like. Okay. Whatever it looks like. Make sure you're connecting with that on a daily basis, because you need to remember the home truths. All right. This is yours. Nobody else has the control. It's all yours. So go and get out of life what you want, because literally, in the words of Gary Vee, you're going to die. Right. And I want you to think about that, but in a good way. Make the use of all the time you've got going on. When it's shit, think about why you're doing stuff, because it allows you to do X, Y, and Z. Yes, but my mom and dad don't want that. Doesn't matter. It's your definition of success. Okay. Now, hopefully, have we all got some actions? No excuses, no bullshit. I want at least one action, and then you can put any other actions you're going to take into the closed group on Facebook, and I'll check. And if you don't think I'm going to check, you need to speak to other people in the group, because I will check. Right? So, Ian, what's your action that you're going to take?
Start putting in place more weekends with the family.
Excellent. Love that. Sit down, help them plan that shit out with you. It doubles up as family time and planning time.
Yeah.
And then when you know you've got to pay that deposit for that fucking log cabin because staying at home for the summer's gone through the roof, you know you need to make those extra calls.
We bought a big motorhome just so we could disappear when we want to.
But do you know what I mean? Connect with that. Okay?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Perfect. I love that. Okay, Mark.
Just spend time with, well, I spend time with the kids anyway. So like I probably spend more time. Probably the reason my business isn't as successful as what it should do is because I actually focus more on the family, but that's becoming a problem because the business isn't successful enough. So I need to actually get a better balance.
Okay. Well, there's two of you at home in the family dynamic. So
Yeah.
maybe it's a conversation, and it doesn't need to be a bad one. It can be a good one.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just float the idea and play around with the idea of having that conversation and just be honest. We can talk about this offline.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stuff you can do there. But I like that. That's cool. It's the first time I've heard you talk about something like that. And I think that's good. Jenny.
First of all, shameful plug for my camper van hire business, Stub Days. If you do want to get away. T5 and a T6 available. but I'm going to stop looking backwards and start looking forward. Just try and look forward.
Ash is going to hate me now because I'm going to go on Instagram and tell everybody I love my job again. Danny, you're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute, mate.
I got too many mutes. I got a mute on the manual mute and a mute on here. I said that's all that's going through my head. I'm just thinking, fucking hell.
Right, good. But what does that look like, Jenny? That's the important bit. What does that look like?
I guess it needs to focus on the here and the now, and not what ifs.
Yeah. So get specific about what it is. I want the house. I want this. I want that. And get specific about what it looks like. And then whenever you're having a shit day, you don't want to have that call. You don't want to do the emails. You don't want to go for that other module. That's your reason why you do shit.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay.
Simon.
I need to stop procrastinating and just get on with shit. Really. Now.
Good.
Because I'm a big, I'll do it tomorrow sort of bloke, and I need to stop doing that.
So what does that first bit
No
of action
excuses,
look like?
no bullshit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what does that first bit of action look like?
I'm going to complete week 2 tomorrow.
So you know what's going to happen now? I'm going to check. So I can either check in with you tomorrow, or you can put on the group when you've done it. But I'm going to come and find you on social media and find out if you've done it or not.
I've got a busy afternoon.
Well, okay. So it might be that you're going to get it done by the end of the week. All right.
End of the week's probably better because tomorrow morning I'm going on an auction for the first time.
Right, okay.
Online auction.
Now that's better because
Mrs. wants a cabinet, a Victorian pine cabinet. I've got instructions, no more than 100 quid.
right. But for you and that action to be taken of getting that module done, for example, had you said I was going to get it done tomorrow and then you don't get it done tomorrow, you're just like, well, okay, I'm not going to bother because I didn't get it done. But actually, if you say I'm going to have it done by the weekend, that's more realistic. All right. So I'm going to meet you halfway and say you need to have it done by Thursday.
Close the play Thursday, right?
Boom. There you go. Okay. Right. I could literally talk about this all night with you guys, but I appreciate your time. I really appreciate your honesty as well. Sometimes it's easy to talk about this stuff, but it does help moving forward. If you need to speak to me at any point about anything, you know where I am. Does anybody have any questions?
No, none.
Can you all just smile so I know I've not like depressed you all this evening?
You never depress us, Ross.
Woohoo! But yeah, it's
Maybe Ash every so often when you keep on telling him how much you love your job, but I
Yeah,
even
he
like
just-
that reaction, but that's cool.
I'm not depressed by Ross. I just get jealous because everybody like loves him, and then I do my sessions, and everyone's like, "Fuck off, you technical bastard." Go away." It's literally what I get.
It's
They
a
all
contrast.
have-
It's a good contrast. Isn't
yeah,
it?
absolutely, and it's the impact that they have. You know, the shit I've learned from you, Ash.
It's all fluffy, lovely, and then it's like I just know. That's why I text down and said, "Am I today?" No, Ross is fucking great. Wonderful. Wonderful. I've only got one person who's finished our course. Mark.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but the thing is like you actually bring so much enjoyment with what you do because you love what you're doing too, and that's what's great about what you do, because you do get enthusiastic and you do love what you're doing, which is great. That's what I love about this.
Right, Jenny needs to go. She's going to get in trouble.
Yeah, well, I've got a pool match to play here, so I'll
Yeah.
catch up with you next week.
Boys go to work.
The balls are being racked up as we speak.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can hear it.
All right, I'll speak to you later, like guys. Take care.
Yeah.
guys.
See you next week,
Yeah,
everyone.
bye.
Thanks
Thanks,
for your
Ross.
time.
Bye.
Cheers,
all.
bye.
Bye.